Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your girl, the dopest nerd. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. Welcome to the channel. Everybody come on in here. Come on in, come on in. Hey Renee, Johnny on the spot. Pile in guys, pile in. We're gonna give you some time to come in. In the meanwhile, check in. I was gonna stream this horizontally, but I feel like I want to go vertical. But I'm gonna go ahead and stream it horizontally since I'm this way. Where's my chat? Come on in, guys. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. When you come in, please be sure to like, because when we get a bunch of likes immediately, it allows this to be sent to the algorithm, and it tells the algorithm, hey, send more people in there. So by all means, come in and like. We're talking about something that's important to us. We all live here. Hey, we live here, and we have got to make sure that our needs are being met and that we're being taken care of. And it is just preposterous that we have to live through these type of environments or cataclysmic events that are going to impact the quality of our lives and our children's lives. This BioLab thing is horrendous. Good night, everybody. Hey Dex, come on in, guys. Be sure to like when you get in. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. To God be the glory. I thank God that I still have a face. To God be the glory. Be sure to like, guys, so when you come in, it tells the algorithm that something over here is popping, and they will send more people. Tonight we are talking about the BioLab explosion, but you know I never stay on one topic. We're going to discuss that, and we'll discuss a few other things. There's some craziness. I think I'll have to do a whole nother live about that. The R. Kelly situation. I've been seeing these clips about R. Kelly's daughter saying that he molested her as well. And it is horrific to even consider and think that that's the case, but we will discuss that. If you guys are just coming in, be sure to put a thumbs up for the like. It's free, and it tells the algorithm that we popping over here. Come on in, guys. Come on in. We have a lot to discuss. It's unfortunate that we live in this type of environment, and these are the things we have to endure. Hey, everybody. Hey. My trusty dusty show producer is in the background. Hey, trusty dusty show producer. Could I get a glass of water? I should have asked for one before I went live, but you guys come on in here. I'm happy to have you in here. There's a lot going on in the world today. And then let's discuss some things that you guys want to talk about as well. Trusty Dusty show producer, I need your assistance. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and start. Whoever's going to join us will join us. I have a glass over there in the family room. And can you pull up, take this with you, and pull up the stream, the live stream, so I can have the comments as well. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share. So tonight we are talking about a horrific, I'm sure all of you, hey boo, I'm sure all of you have seen what took place. And what took place in Rockdale County, Georgia. It is about 25 miles east of Atlanta. So it's just the metro Atlanta area. It's just like if you, trusty dusty sidekick. What I go on here, sir? Look, hurry. Hurry. What you got an attitude for? I'm not an attitude. Look. Turn it, pivot the leg so that it's stationary. Thank you. Sorry, we had technical difficulties in the studio. So, unfortunately, I'm sure you guys have heard of the BioLab explosion. Be sure to like and subscribe and share when you come in so the algorithm can tell more people to join us. I'm sure you guys heard about the recent events on September 29th in Rockdale County, Georgia. Rockdale County is a suburb in the metro Atlanta area. It is 25 miles east of Atlanta, so it's the equivalent of, if you're in Brooklyn, it's in Manhattan, just another borough. Of course, they go by the county system here, so it's another county, but it's just like going to Manhattan, going to the Bronx, same situation. So it's the Atlanta metro area. BioLab is a swimming pool chemical company. Now, this is not the first time that BioLab actually had an explosion. In a few years, okay, tell me what you heard. I'm very interested to hear what you heard, so please fill me in. You said you heard about the real reason, tell me. And I have actually a tidbit of information that is going to be shocking to you guys. I don't know what the Most High be doing with me, but it's going to be shocking to you. Their very first explosion, or in recent years, was May 26, 2004. Let me tell you something. Me and my kids lived through that. We actually lived on that side of town. And my sons were young. And the strange irony is, when I heard about this explosion, I was in the salon, I heard about this explosion, and I was like, oh my God, my kids are home. Like, I tried to call them, they were not answering the phone. And so I decided to jump in the car and drive to the house. Now I jump in the car and drive to the house, I go upstairs, these two boys in the room cussing each other out. I'm standing in the hallway. I'm first was more shocked about the BioLab thing because the plume of smoke was atrocious. But they were saying, turn off your ACs, seal it up. Don't let any of that air get in your house. And I wanted to get home and tell my sons. They in the room cursing each other out. So that was funny. And that is why I have such a vivid memory of this. So that time was really, really bad because it stayed on fire. The fire didn't get put out until the next morning. However, that was so egregious and bad, that should have set a whole lot of things in place. Now, first of all, they only got a fine from the Environmental Protection Agency for it was some very nominal fee. I have all this information written down. It was a very nominal fee. They got fined, if I'm not mistaken, $24,000. They shut down the ports in that incident in Conyers. Let's see. I'm going to put on my readers because y'all know that 2020 is fading. Was so USG could move supplies allegedly? Oh my gosh. So first of all, if they're doing things like this for the purposes of moving supplies and jeopardizing our families, our children, and people in the community, we have seniors in that area, we have people with pre-existing health conditions who don't need any additional things to exacerbate the problems that they're already dealing with. I'm really disgusted by this. So, like I was saying, in recent times, the first one that I know of was May 25th, 2004. It was at the BioLab warehouse, which is a swimming pool chemical company. And what happens is they had pool chemicals and oxidizers. It caused an evacuation of the area, and I remember that vividly. And it closed I-20. The EPA responded with not a request, but a mandate that they do air monitoring, and that the BioLab, like I said, was fined $24,000. The company was required to perform environmental cleanup, including evacuating soil and restoring the VFW Post 5290 lake after all of the fish had to be killed. They allegedly, definitely. Now, we know they manipulated the weather. But here's the thing. Recently, we've been hearing over and over that this anomaly was going to take place in our community. Well, not in our community, in the world, and that we were going to have two moons. And so here's the unique irony about the two moons. We know that they've been using the HARP weather machine to cloud seed and to affect the weather. And these things are done because their manipulation of the weather does something for them. Exactly. They're able to cause different industries to have to kick in, or a big insurance surge because people lose their properties, properties and communities flood out. It costs a lot of money to clean up. And so insurance has to kick in a great amount. There's also the case of land grabs. Exactly. Well, here's the irony about the Maui situation. I'm glad you mentioned that. The correlational relationship between these things happening is that every city where one of these massive disasters happens is becoming a smart city. Maui, they already had. So what you need to Google is look around the United States of America and find out what areas are becoming smart cities. I know I have it on good authority, and I know for a fact that Atlanta recently had, I would say it occurred maybe about 2 months ago, where they introduced the notion that Atlanta is becoming a smart city. So we in the Atlanta, inner city Atlanta area, we need to beware and be careful. Maui became a smart city. All of these cities that are having cataclysmic events, just like Asheville, North Carolina, is becoming a smart city. Anytime they have a smart city, it seems like there is a massive land sweep. So some cataclysmic event occurs. They have to, everything is wiped clear through floods or whatever. A smart city is where they use it is completely wired for technology. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Black Mirror, and they have this thing called the social credit system. And so there's cameras everywhere. They can literally identify you within a split second because the area is heavily monitored and there's a lot of money and investment put in, and everything is technologically advanced. We have to keep in mind that these things are not happening as normal occurrences of nature. These things are being forced. Okay, I hadn't heard that about the alleged Harris husband being the CEO of a company that wants to mine North Carolina. But trust me, while you're on with me now, definitely Google smart cities. You're going to see that Maui is a smart city. You're going to see that Asheville, North Carolina is a smart city. You're going to see that Atlanta is a smart city, and other places that have had recent cataclysmic weather are also smart cities. The unfortunate thing is that this happened in Rockdale County, Georgia. Like I said, it's 25 minutes outside of Atlanta. And this chemical plume of smoke and carcinogens wafted everywhere. Like literally, it wafted everywhere. It infected people. Were going through all type of issues, medical issues. Well, unfortunately, just a couple of days ago, so let me tell you when the other occurrences occurred. 2016, smoke from the facility and hazardous waste storage area, trichlorocyanuric acid, which is a swimming pool chemical, caught on fire and wafted out again in 2016. After they had this 2004 issue, it happened again in 2016. When 2004 happened, they should have been policies and procedures put in place to make certain that this didn't happen again. For some strange reason, it wasn't done. Oh, indeed, Texas. Texas is a whole nother thing, honey. Y'all need to Google Jade Helm, Helm, Jade Helm. The gases and the chemicals are very deadly chemicals. September 14th, 2020, they had another chemical reaction. They had chlorine vapor. It closed I-20, which is the highway that goes east of Atlanta, for 6 hours. The Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigations Board, called the CSB, investigated, did this whole thing, and here we are again, September 29th, 2024, yet again. Well, this time was probably nastier than all the previous times and a lot more toxic. Well, unfortunately, a county official named Kenneth Johnson, 62-year-old man who was an environmental justice activist. He worked for the county, went to testify. He was the Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. He testified countless times over the last few years in regards to all of these events that kept happening with BioLab and every other environmental disaster in the area. The irony is, my daughter is an environmental justice advocate. That's why this is important to me. In June, we just attended the Environmental Justice Summit conference here in Atlanta at the Omni. We stayed at the Omni for about 2 or 3 days, and there was an entire environmental justice summit dealing with all of these issues. And this is why this is so important that we have this discussion, because it's affecting our lives. So this gentleman, Kenneth Johnson, who was the supervisor, he has been, thank you, I appreciate it, just a little t-shirt. He has been petitioning, and he called these names. Now, when you are willing to speak truth to power, the officials don't like that, especially when you're willing to mention names. They don't like that. He literally gave his final speech 2 days ago at the state capitol. He testified in a hearing at the state capitol in regards to this issue. He called the name. He said he has written time and time again to Senator Ossoff, who is Jimmy Carter's grandson. He has written over and over and petitioned Senator Warnock, Raphael Warnock, the former head pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church, Martin Luther King's church, and Congressman Hayden Johnson. Well, guess what? Right after he gave that speech, while he was giving the speech, I noticed he was very short of breath. He was quite short of breath, but he was getting out what he had to say. And guess what? He stepped into the hallway and dropped dead. Now, mind you, one of the last sentences he said was, citizens of Rockdale County and all of the surrounding cities, please go to the hospital and get tested. Go to your doctors and get tested, and let's see what chemicals are in your body. These chemicals are toxic and they are deadly and they will kill people. And they don't want you to know what's in your system. Go get tested immediately. This is a toxic level of epidemic proportions. This man stepped in the hallway and dropped dead 2 days ago in the state capital of Georgia. 2 days ago. Now, I know it's going around the news cycle, but they are not popular. It's not as popular as it should be. Not the least of which is he called names, and allegedly the theory is, and a lot of comments on social media have been, don't act like we haven't seen scandal. We know what this is. The consensus is that this is alleged. This is what they say. Y'all know me. This is what they say. They out there in the nether regions in the internet, they say they believe this man was taken out because he was willing to cry aloud and spare not. He was willing to speak truth to power and call those names. Oh, they always going to suppress it. And here's the thing. It's even more suppressed because this is a black man. And this is why we need to share this. We need to have this discussion, get this out. Environmental justice is important. Far too often in our communities, environmental justice has the least of importance. Case in point, we have people with the big barbecue trucks. And yeah, while the barbecue may taste great, all of that toxic plume of smoke that's coming from it, that's toxic. In New York, we used to have the jerk chicken, big barbecue places like that. All of that smoke is toxic and it's not regulated. We have a higher disproportionate, we seem to have a higher disproportionate level of our children becoming asthmatic and suffering from lung disorders or breathing disorders that impacts them throughout life. Not the least of which is they're easier to diagnose our children as having autism, ADHD, and all types of foolishness. And a lot of these are due to environmental factors. They're due to poor clean air situations in housing developments and in communities. They're due to a lack of healthy, good food. They're due to food deserts and people eating from local establishments that don't necessarily buy the best fruits and vegetables and things to sell. It's a whole, oh, absolutely. Omitting truth. Let's see what this says. Like the media does, brings about conspiracy theories. And here's the deal. It's not like conspiracy theories are untrue. Two things can occur at the same time. Just because it's a conspiracy doesn't mean it's not true. And so this whole notion, and a report came out from a CIA agent that said the term conspiracy theory was created to demonize people who were willing to look deeper into a topic and not just take the popular narrative from the news organizations. That was created by the CIA. So listen, don't be offended when somebody calls you a conspiracy theorist. What it really means is that you're a critical thinker. and that you are willing to ask the tough questions to get to the bottom of issues. We should not ever just take the popular narrative. We need to dig deeper. If nothing else, hindsight is 2020, and it should tell us that the powers that be don't care about us. I believe there is a gentleman named Michael Jackson. You may have heard of him. He said, all I really want to say is they don't really care about us. Now, these are people of higher echelons that had access to information that some of us may not have access to. And he took the time to make a song and say, they don't care about us. If you doubt for 1 second, go check the substandard food that is presented in your children's school. If the tax revenue in your community is low, your kids are eating trash in school. And that's the truth. I don't say it to be offensive. It's the truth. The better the tax revenue is in your community, the better your children access to education, healthy conditions in their school, and the better quality of teachers. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something. You listen to the people on YouTube in North Carolina, Tennessee, they're crying for help in the government. Yeah, what's happening down there is atrocious. I don't know if you guys saw this video. Oh, absolutely. I think something is very off spiritually. And so I'm going to say something, and it could be controversial, but you guys need those channels I told you guys you need to watch. You need to watch those channels. There are things far greater than what's in mainstream society. First of all, you need to detach from mainstream news. There was something called, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was called Project Paperclip. I could be wrong on the name, but it was a name something like that. And let me tell you something. Somebody Google and correct me if I'm right, or correct me if I'm wrong. The CIA and FBI agents are embedded in news organizations. I'm not making this up. This is old lore, old fodder. They are embedded in news industry because it is a disinformation program. No, not Paperclip Party. No. This is Project Paperclip. I think this started back in the 40s and 50s, if I'm not mistaken, where they embedded Central Intelligence agents and Federal Bureau of Investigation agents into the media on a massive disinformation campaign because they don't want us to, anytime people dig too deep or rogue reporters dig too deep and start to find out the truth, they have to throw a monkey wrench to keep us anesthetized. What do you think sports is about? You think 1948, there you go. What do you think sports is about? You think sports is about, hey, we really love this? Allegedly, sports is completely scripted. Nothing about it is sincere or original. It's completely scripted. They do it just like the Roman Colosseums back in the days and the Greek Colosseums to keep the mainstream people, to keep the civilians calm and quiet. They're distracted using sports and things of that nature. That's right. They banned TikTok because it is the only social media platform that is not penetrated by the United States government. The United States government and the federal agencies have their hand connected to Facebook, Instagram, all of the other platforms. Y'all got, what's his name? With X, Twitter, whatever the name is today. TikTok, because they are not rooted in the United States of America, has their own control mechanism. And they feel like TikTok has been giving us too much tea. TikTok tell you how to clean up your credit. TikTok tell you how to eat healthy. TikTok tell you everything. Elon Musk. TikTok tells you everything to keep you improving your life. That is not what the mainstream social media platforms have exposed us to for years. They keep you up with the slackness. They tell you who's zooming who's cheating on whose relationship, it's complicated, and who's this, who's that. Until the advent of TikTok, social media was kind of a one-trick pony. And then TikTok came along and it expanded people's reach. It expanded your knowledge. I mean, literally, TikTok, we learned so much from TikTok. Baby, you can have a PhD in TikTok University. I mean, or masters or whatever level you enter this sphere at. It educates you. It gives you information that you're not typically exposed to. And I'm telling you, the powers that be hate that. They don't like it. They like the narrative to be controlled by them, and they filter little information through. They might get one or two little stories through to keep us, the conspiracy theorist people riled up so we could have something to focus on. But I promise you, it is not done for the benefit of us and our children. And when are we going to step up and take control of this? We have to step up and we have to do things. Right now is the ideal time for us to get the attention of these local politicians or politicians. Everybody in the Atlanta area, we need to be calling our politicians and saying, listen, in light of what just took place at the BioLab plant, here's our list of demands. We want to have a town hall meeting. Here's our list of demands. You must address, if you are interested in our vote, you must address us in these issues. It is the only way we get a hold of these people. See, this is a dire time. They want your vote so bad. They are willing to listen to anything. So there was a video. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. I guess it's in North Carolina. It's somewhere where Helene just hit. And a gentleman is outside. He's sitting down on the floor. And so a reporter walks over to him and says, oh, sir, hi, how are you? What are you doing outside here? And he's like, I sat out here to weather the storm. I'm trying to get, myself together. And he was a little discombobulated, and he seemed, when I say slow, I'm not saying slow mentally. I'm saying affected by what had just occurred. And so they said to him, why don't you go into the shelter? Now, this ain't me talking. This is what they on the internet, allegedly, this man says, and I'm not saying allegedly because I heard him say it, but I can neither confirm or deny the accuracy of it, but I don't see a reason why he would lie. The man literally said in the most articulate voice, I didn't go into shelter because the people in the Red Cross shelter and FEMA and all those people are killing people. Did anybody see that video? And so the guy tries to talk over him and says, oh, you're homeless. You're homeless. Let's see if we can try to get you some help. And tries to shut the man down. The guy looks up at him and says, sir, I'm a police officer. He literally said, oh, we're going to try to get you some help. He's over talking him because he doesn't want the truth to come out. I said, what? And I don't doubt it. Now, these are my opinions. I always have to make this disclaimer. This is alleged by the individual on the videotape. I do not know the gentleman's name. I'm not familiar with the gentleman. I simply saw this tidbit of information, and this man, I listened to this man speak this to the news media, and they tried to shut him down and overtalk him and throw it back to you, Jim. They did not want him to talk. This man was level-headed. I could tell he was affected severely by what he had experienced. That man said, I am not going into any shelter. This is what was happening to the people inside the shelter. And I don't doubt it. Let's see. Let me look up some of the people. And shout out to everybody. The mods are greeting everyone. Thank you so much. Indeed, listen, this country has a long history of child trafficking, and that is what, at the border, when they were separating the families, I knew that was a problem. But the first time we had really seen that in real time was Katrina, when people were trying to escape. And a true parent's love is if situations are bad on the floor and they're trying to help people get out, you want to save your child. But here's the deal. To really save my child, I need to be with my child. So many people's children were taken up into those helicopters and never seen again. And that was Katrina. And that is what's happening. At the border, they separated all those families, had the kids, and they lost the kids. I think they said there's probably like over 100,000 children unaccounted for and missing. It is bizarre. And I'm sorry, as much as I want freedom or whatever, you're not separating me from my child. It's not going to happen. People are too trusting of the authorities. And this is something that is like, there was a video, not to go off topic, but there was a video on Instagram of a woman, she had braided a young girl's hair, and you know how it is, if you get synthetic hair, they pour the hot water on the hair that's hanging just to singe it and make it have a neat and, cohesive appearance. Well, this woman, this evil woman, was pouring the hot water on the little girl's scalp. I would say she was about 12, between 12 and 14, or maybe 11 and 14. She's burning this child's scalp. Somebody's catching it on video. She's burnt, or the lady's catching it on video. She's burning the child's scalp, and the child is screaming, ah! And a couple of people are on the thing saying, why the F doesn't that girl get up? I said, oh, because y'all don't want to have a conversation about you teach your children blind loyalty to adults. Even adults they don't know. That is very Black or cultural for ethnic people. You teach your children blind loyalty to adults. There's evil adults in this world. I don't believe in that. Oh, she is absolutely a heifer. And I don't believe in that. I tell my children, if somebody's doing something to you that is not resonating with you, cry aloud and spare not. Own your voice and own your truth. Shout out and let somebody know you're being harmed. You jump up and listen. If somebody is violating you, you got the right to kick ass and ask questions later. I'm not going to have my children sitting there and the lady said, don't move, don't move. And the girl was just grabbing her head, screaming, and she's scalding this child. Now, first of all, I would have beat fire, the sun, the moon, and the stars out that lady's ass. I'm talking, baby, you talk about beat down? Honey, as I tell people that start with me, and they try to start up I could be in a supermarket or whatever, and somebody's passing, and God forbid some foolishness happens, and they try to get crunk. And I'll be like, listen here, I say it in the calmest way. I say, listen here, lady, you don't want to do this to yourself. And they try to get crunk. Oh, but what, bitch? What you think? I said, listen here, you'll be telling a story over breakfast of how you got that black eye. Don't do it. You don't want none of this. And they kind of usually jump back like, because I'm so calm. I'm not going to get crunk. I'm not going to get all wild out and sinister. No, I'm not doing none of that. I'm going to just tell you plain and simple. Boo, you're going to be telling a story over breakfast of how you got that black eye. Move along. Nothing to see here. Just keep it pushing. And I mean it. I don't got to get crunk. See, all that loud, rah, 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 the loudest chick in the room is the weakest chick in the room. I ain't got time for all that yelling. I ain't got time. Back in the days, I probably would have went off, cursed you. Nope, not now. I'm too old for that. I'm just going to knock your socks off. As we say in Brooklyn, and I'm sure in many communities across the United States, run up and get done up. I don't got time for that. I would much rather bid you peace. Move along, sis. We don't have time for this. You got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. Let's go. Move along. But if you insist, shout out to the nerd herd, run up and get done up. Because listen, this life here is short. And we hear stories every day of how people get caught slipping. A simple thing. And somebody, there you go. FAFO. And it's not worth it. We got our strength for each other. But the people that's oppressing us, environmentally, destroying our communities, if you're feeling froggy, then chomp. They're destroying our communities. They're poisoning our children. They're poisoning our elderly. People are like, oh, just evacuate. This narrative of these weather conditions are happening and these storms and the threat of these Category 5 and 6 hurricanes are coming. But what about poverty? What is the intersectionality between environmental justice and poverty? Because listen, when you got a mama who's raising her kids or a grandmama who's taking care of her grandkids because something happened to the parents and they just got enough money for ramen noodles for dinner for the whole week, you ain't got no spare money to be like, oh, let me gas up the car and let's get some tickets out of here or drive away. What happens to those people? I keep hearing this narrative of people on social media like, why didn't they just evacuate? Some people don't have it. You got a whole litany, community of people who ride the bus. How are they evacuating? Somebody tell me. Because I heard a lot of this stupid narrative during Katrina. If you ride the bus every day, if you had a car, that commute to work might take you 27 minutes. But because you don't have a car, because the cycle of poverty continues and you can't save enough money to put to the side to get a car or get a down payment to get a car. You might be able to afford to pay for it every month if you just get a little hoopty. However, you can't get the down payment put down. So you stay in this continual loop of poverty. How are you jumping up, gathering your family up and evacuating? To where? How? And they should be pre-hurricane evacuation funds. That's right. Listen, perhaps this is something collectively as the Nerd Herd, a project we could come up with. Let's come up with a project on how within our communities, we could go to local community board meetings and let's have this discussion. There needs to be a fund. There needs to be, I don't care if it's a nonprofit. You guys want to start nonprofits? I write 501c3s. I will write your 501c3. Let's get these grants and get programs started where there is a fund for families, and let's get people pre-registered. Whatever means we can do, let's get people pre-registered. Especially if you're in hurricane-prone areas. Do you have a vehicle? Do you have access to, what is the time frame required for your family to adequately evacuate in the event of a hurricane or severe weather condition? If it's greater than 2 hours or 3 hours, that means you are desperate and you don't have access to the resources required to get your family to safety, and those people should be pre-registered. And that way, in the event of something, we can help those people get out. If it's a simple thing like we make a strategic alliance with bus companies and those people have to report to, let's say, something local. If there's local schools in the community, all the families that lack the capacity to evacuate on their own go to the local school and we will pick you up from the local school. You need to have emergency bags that have your documents, whether you have a driver's license, birth certificates, things like that. And let's get you out to somewhere safety. And it could just be to a whole other city. We make strategic alliances with cities elsewhere. And when you get out of town, you get over there. I don't care if it's a building. Let's see what that says. Sis already doing it. I work for a nonprofit that provides rental and home ownership to low and moderate income houses. We build new construction homes and sell it. But here's the deal. In that, we need to be able to have access for people who lack immediate resources to evacuate from hurricane-prone climates and environments to be able to get out, to get access to funds. Sometimes it's a simple thing as you might need $250 for your family to get out. But if you don't have that, we used to provide emergency housing. And here's the deal. There's a lot of grants. There's a lot of grants out there. Let's get it done. If y'all, whoever's down to partake in that, put them books in the chat. Put those books in the chat. Because I think this is relatively easy research that we could do. We could find the zones that are predisposed to hurricanes. We know it's going to be coastal regions, things of that nature. Let's identify whoever wants to join in, put the stack of books emoji in the thing, and let's then do a research. We're going to combine the group, decide who's a part of it. We're going to assign tasks out. Some people might be responsible for finding hurricane-prone regions in this quadrant of the country, this quadrant, and then find out what's the safest place for them to evacuate to within a certain degree of. Yeah, we ain't even think about them FEMA trailers, honey. People were sick as a dog from them FEMA trailers. Did you ever see the documentary that came out? The FEMA trailers were contaminated with a rare bacteria and people were sick as a dog from FEMA trailers. See, a lot of these things are systemic. A lot of these things are systemic, and it is the setup for the setback. If we start to take the responsibility and the onus off of government agencies and get it done with, grants and nonprofits, we can do more. They were contaminated with formaldehyde. And you know what formaldehyde is? Formaldehyde is used to embalm corpses. So why would they want to have in the interior linings of the walls of a FEMA trailer that was supposed to be to offer aid to families. Of course, there you go. Population control. See, I started talking about population control a long time ago. I don't know if many of you know, I used to have a talk radio show here in the Atlanta area. It was called Having My Say. It was a black talk radio show. It was on Love 860. I ended up getting this show because a friend of mine had a talk show. Well, one that's a former friend who used to be my professor, but he's a hater now. He has a popular show on YouTube. He's a stone cold hater. When I tell you that man's so threatened by me, oh my gosh. This man once uttered on his airwaves, Ebony is my favorite student, and then turned into the biggest hater in the world. So threatened by me. It's disgusting. Mind you, he has 2 PhDs. He's a professor. He has a radio show. He does a lot of things. Threatened by me. I'm talking unjustifiably so, because I was cool with him. But, you know, God don't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Like I was saying. And another friend who had a radio show prior to him, who was still my friend, who was a phenomenal man, who himself used to be the dean of education at the ITC, which is called the Interdenominational Theological Seminary Center, which is the theological sector of Morehouse. He is a pastor. They call him the trap pastor. His name is Dr. F. Keith Slaughter. He had a radio show also called The Movement with Dr. F. Keith Slaughter. He has a podcast, and he has a church, and he does so much. He has a nonprofit. He does so much for the community. I mean, this is a man who walk it how he talk it. He is super dope, and he walk it how he talk it, and I love him for that. So I was a regular caller on his show, and they had this thing where if you called in and you gave a very prolific, all of these are black talk radio shows on WAOK. And if you gave a prolific comment, they had something where they would drop the bomb on you because you just said something that was so profound. And so I was a regular caller, regular commenter, and I would get the bomb all the time. He had a Facebook group as well, and I think Instagram, and they started this whole movement. Let Ebony host the show when Dr. F. Keith Slaughter is on vacation. Now, mind you, I was just a caller and a listener, but they came up with this whole thing, and not just on his show, but on the other hater, double PhD hater talk show host. Oh, such a hater. And I used to really respect this guy. Total hater, clown. But I digress. He'll get no shine on this show. I used to call on both of their shows, and I got so much love from the audience. They started this campaign all over Facebook, let Ebony host. They were trying to galvanize like the radio station to allow me to be the fill-in host, because they had other radio show hosts at the station that would fill in, and no disrespect to them, but they were kind of lackluster. And so let's say if they were on the air, the primary hosts were on the air, the listenership would be up like a 80 percentile, 85. However, if they weren't on, it would drop to like 22%. I'm not joking. And people just were like, let Ebony host. I was flattered. I was honored. So one day I called in. I know what the portable homes are. Those are called boxables. And actually, Elon Musk didn't start that. Another company started that. I've been watching boxables for about 10 or 12 years now. And they originally started out, they were $22,000. And now it's gone up a bit. I think they're $49,000 now. But boxables are self-contained housing units that come folded. They transport them. The problem was that they had a boxable plant, and so they could manufacture them, but they could only really, to keep it profitable, they could only really move them to certain regions. Because once you got out of that quadrant of states surrounding where they made them, then it became expensive to just move them and set up. So until they expanded the boxable plants and started putting them in other regions of the country, it wasn't prudent for, let's say, if you were in Atlanta, at one point I was trying to buy a plot of land, and I was going to put 4 boxables on them, and you couldn't get them over here. You couldn't get the home over here. And they're self-contained modular homes. I mean, they fold them suckers out, beautiful. And then they have attachable compartments that you can attach another boxable. You can build up, you can build out if you decide to buy additional boxables and attach them to your home, or they can be for self-contained. It's magnificent. But they, yeah, they certainly not 10,000. It wouldn't even be prudent for them to do them at 10,000. Well, here's the deal. When people don't like you, let me tell you what that is. And you're in the right place. You're at the nerd herd. You are at the right place. When people just all of a sudden don't like you, it is not because of you. It is about them. More often than not, and that's probably the reason you've ended up at the nerd herd, you found your tribe, is because we are chosen ones. Now, I say this in all humility. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything. We are chosen ones. And when chosen ones, the word says, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. Just like we could walk in a room and see somebody who is bad energy or seems nefarious and has low vibrational frequency, we can spot them, they can spot us. We can spot them and they can spot us. And some people are narcissists and some people are antisocial personality, AKA, which is the clinical definition of psychopath or sociopath. And those are mental illnesses. However, some people are straight up evil, and that's a whole other dichotomy. That's a whole other dichotomy. They can spot you, just like you're hypersensitive to energy and emotions. They're hypersensitive too, but from a negative. This may be the center line, and you are on this line ascending up, a chosen one, and they are on this side ascending down. They can spot you and they try to energy harvest you. And what happens is, because they are conscious of your light and what God has in you, they want to now go around the room and kill the first way to attack someone is to destroy their character amongst other people. And so they want to dim your light, or plant a seed of negativity amongst other people so other people don't like you. Usually that's predicated by the fact that energy vampires, there you go, Latoya, they are insecure in themselves. And I keep telling people, what looks like big egos and high self-esteem and narcissism, the root cause of narcissism is incredibly low self-esteem. When I say incredibly low self-esteem, incredibly low. They have low self-esteem, but it's masked as high self-esteem. It really is. What's going on? What happened to Nancy? Oh, absolutely. You can feel it. You can feel it. I learned very early that my grandmother used to say it to me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm so sorry that you went through that. Sorry about that, Lakeisha. Wow. And listen, Nancy, that type of stuff happens. That is real. But that's why I think God makes us be related to who we're related to, because the people who come against you are the sandpaper that smooths your rough edges. Those are the people that come to challenge you in ways that other people can't access you. And listen, not for nothing, men will get with you and they hate you. They don't get with you. It's not like they're with you because they love you. They will literally get with you, but they hate you because they are so jealous of you. They want to dim your light, and they don't want anybody else in the world to celebrate you. And so the easiest way to stop your ascension is to get with you, and then they keep you down. And that's a real thing. Every guy that grins at you and smiles at you, I'm sure many of you know people who are in relationships where their man hates them or their woman hates them. And those are progress blockers. I always say, and I have a short on my YouTube page, it says they're light stealers. Everybody who stands next to you is not standing next to you because they like you. Some people are standing beside you because they want your light to shine on them so they can live vicariously in your light. Some people are standing beside you because they truly support you and they want your light to shine. Then there are others who stand beside you because they want to get close enough to put your light out. And then the last group is the ones who want a front row seat to your demise. They have to stay close because they want a front row seat to your demise. And that's real. Like, reel it in, real deal, Holyfield. And it's unfortunate. And in that group, there are people who want to support you and who believe in you and stand in your circumference because they want to see you win. But baby, we got a lot of miserable people in this world and they want to take you down. The Father God said, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. I keep telling you, offense may come, but woe unto him who it comes from. When God is for you, who could be against you? He said, let no man put asunder. We are protected beings. We just have to be conscious of whose company we keep. Oh, absolutely. Listen. Let me tell you something. People get in your circumference, you have to use that power of discernment immediately. You can't even play games with, and what we have to stop doing is, we as women have been taught, like, be kind, be nice, be kind, and all that be kind, be nice is telling you to lower your inhibitions and allow people in your circumference who does not resonate with your spirit. That is all subconscious programming. That comes from the people who raised us, the people who were around us. That's not your concrete permanence. That's subconscious programming. Your own conscious programming regulates your emotions. You know when you walk in a room and you feel somebody's energy that you're not feeling, you stay away. You have to do that. So reevaluate your relationships you're in. There are some people, of course, some people for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. Conscious of whose company you keep. Like they say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And it's not a perfect science. Some people will come into our circumference and we really think that they're friends and they're just phenomenal actors. I even wrote in a song years ago about relationships, and I call it "And the Award Goes To." Because how many of us have been in a relationship with somebody that we thought was in our corner and they were undercutting us the whole time? If we were in a storm in a boat, they were drilling a hole in the back, but acting like they were trying to clog it. Let me tell you something. God don't give you anything you can't handle. God will not give you more than what you can handle. And so if God is giving you so much, it is because God knows you're worthy. He is trying to wake you up to the awareness of your power. You have to walk in your power. I keep telling you, worry and faith cannot coexist. If you are worried or stressed about anything, your faith is lacking. God blesses you according to your measure of faith. Remember, he said he wants us to have faith of a mustard seed. You know how small a mustard seed is? It is probably the smallest seed in the seed family that is able to produce and yield a fruitful crop. You cannot worry and have faith at the same time. It's just not possible for them to coexist. And worrying is basically telling God, I don't really trust that you got this. And I'm not really sure why, because guess what? You have a 100% success rate in everything you've ever been through. Because guess what? You are still here. No worry. You know what the Lord's Prayer says? Give us our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. It is built into it. Give us our daily bread. He promised to give us bread daily. And if he is our Father, we get to ask. Just like you ask your dad, Dad, can I have money for the trip? Dad, can I have money to go skating? You don't even have to ask for your daily bread. God got you. He already told you, give us our daily bread. As you should worry, well, not worry, be concerned. Not worry, be concerned. You can be concerned, and that is not worry. Being concerned is I am giving my attention to this situation over here because it merits attention and, you know, my attention to help change it. But that you cannot worry. If you're in your house like, oh Lord, how are we going to pay this mortgage? You have a 100% success rate in everything you've been through. You're still here. Think of every time you've been through something in your life and you was like, oh Lord, how are we going to get through this? Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And guess what? Ain't you here? Overcame? Haven't you gone shopping in even the last week? But there was a time where you went through something that you were like, how are we going to make it through this? You have made it through every single thing that you thought you wasn't going to make it through. That's a 100% success rate. But you said the Lord took you through a lesson and rewarded you for staying strong. That's right. That's what the Lord does us. He doesn't, no, that's okay, baby. That's okay. That's okay. You could definitely be concerned. We should. Being concerned, giving our attention to, giving our energy to. We just have to reframe our vocabulary. There's something called Black's Law. It's a whole language. We think the words that we use on an everyday basis, trust me, they don't mean what you think they mean. Look up Black's Law. Basic words mean something totally different. But here's the thing. The average person is not made aware of that because the powers that be created it that way so we can be confused or thrown off. There is first of all, the fact that they said we have 2 moons, we have a new mini moon. What controls water? The moon. The lunar phases control water. So if we have 2 moons, wouldn't it suffice to say that we would have flooding on our planet? And I don't even know what these 2 moons is. I think it's Nibiru, another planet. But those celestial planets impact how water flows. The moon impacts the current, how water ebbs and flows, and the gravitational pull of water. That's why they say stay off the beach at night, because the current is so strong, it will drag you out to sea and nothing can save you. You could be a top-notch swimmer. You go in that water at night, drag your behind right on off. Yeah, we think words mean a particular thing because that's what we've been taught. It's like I always say grand rising. First of all, that's right, the tides. I don't answer my phone the typical HELLO that people say. I never say that. First of all, we live in an AI world where you call, I don't answer my phone HELLO and I don't answer my phone yes. I answer my phone greetings. Because if you AI me and snap my voice off of greetings, you can't change that to anything. You can't change that to agree that, yes, I changed. Like, let's say people are capturing your voice for AI. If you say yes, they will replicate your voice and then make you say yes to a fake statement that you didn't even say yes to. But if I answered my phone greetings, what you going to change that to? Greetings. Greetings, who's calling? I never acknowledge myself before I say greetings, who's calling? What's the nature of your call? They'll be like, is this Latasha? Greetings, who's calling? What's the nature of your call? Make them establish themselves. They're calling your line. They want you for something. Oh, it's an important matter. It's private. Well, I don't consent to myself being recorded. What can I help you with? They have to say, okay, and hang up. Because you don't consent to being recorded. Don't give people, because here's what they'll say. They'll say this call is being recorded for quality assurance. And then if you tell them you're recording, I didn't give you permission to record me. Why you want access to record me and you don't want me to record you? What do you need my voice recorded for? And so Georgia's single party consent. I don't even give people, I don't let them know I'm recording them. I just record because we're single party consent. Single party consent means as long as you are a party to the conversation, you do not need permission to record it. You are a part of the conversation. And so I record because here's what I know to be true in this world, no matter what. If people don't think someone's watching them, they will show their monkey behinds. They will swear up and down on their mama grave. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. And I got a whole recording. You know how many times I've had to say to people, I'll be like, well, you said such and such. Oh, can you prove it? No, I don't. I said, oh, 819 says you do. And they'll be like, what? What's that supposed to mean? I said, 819 says you do. Because not only do I record people, I go over it and make notes, timestamps in the thing. And then they say, what's that supposed to mean? I say, 8 minutes and 19 seconds, you said blah, blah, blah. I have it on recording. Would you like to hear it? And then I start to play, and they start screaming, I didn't give you permission to record me. Hey, reacquaint yourself with the United States Constitution. Can I help you with something else? Because once you catch them lying, the conversation is done. What else do we need to talk about? You have presented and proven that you are a liar. We have no other further business to do. Absolutely, it stops the. Listen, I tell people all the time, I don't play a game of you against your word against mine. I play a game of your word against you. Why am I playing a game of your word against me? For what? People will lie every chance you get, unfortunately. Unless you find people with a clean heart, clean spirit, people are prone to lie. So I don't waste my time trying to prove that they're not gonna lie. Yeah, don't verify your information because you don't know who you're talking to. First and foremost, people will call and present themselves as anything. You're not sure who you're talking to until a time that you are sure. And that's really tough anyway. Absolutely. Yeah, there's tons of scams. You're right. That's where the scams come in, Nancy. Yeah, I don't got time for special purposes. Identify. And I always say, identify yourself. Make yourself known. Identify yourself and what you're calling about. And if they try to hesitate, have a wonderful day. Click, because I don't have time. The James Webb Telescope. So let me ask you a question. We're in the nerd herd, and this has been a controversial topic. How many people, we got 12 people in here currently, how many people believe the earth is flat or round? Yeah, don't mess with those UPS text messages. All those things are fake. Woo, my people. Come on, y'all. Come up off it. Flat or round. We got two flats. Round, okay. Why, Nancy? You say both clean black sneakers. Why you think both? That's fair, Lakeisha. You don't know? Those who say round. Why do you think round? Tell me why you think round. From outer space, it's round. What proof do you have of that? Indeed, Africa is way bigger. But what proof do you have that from outer space, the world is round? How many people think we went to the moon? No, we did not go to the moon. How many people are familiar with a man named Stanley Kubrick? Stanley Kubrick is a filmmaker. You probably know some of his movies. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You know, Eyes Wide Shut. He has lots of movies. You know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson saying red rum, breaking through the door and all that stuff. And they were in that big mansion in a snowstorm. Listen, Stanley Kubrick admitted before he passed away that he has the greatest regret in his life because he filmed the greatest movie ever and he can never get credit for it. And that he regrets it because he pulled the wool over the American public's eyes and he's ashamed of it. He filmed the moon landing. Listen, the moon landing has been debunked so many times. Even the astronauts have been caught on record saying it didn't happen. There's a Neil Armstrong video. A lady in college said to him, what was the scariest part of it? He said, the scariest part? Well, it didn't happen. There's lots of, they have debunked the moon landing. Let me give you the number one clear and present. You think they went to the moon, Nancy and Diana? So let me give you the number one clear and present. I'm going to give you 4 facts that let you know they didn't go to the moon. What year was the moon landing supposed to be? Anybody know what year the landing was supposed to be? Okay, in the 60s. So they went to the moon in the 60s, where we had paltry technology, black and white TVs. We didn't even have color TVs yet. Black and white TVs. The transmissions were whacker than whack. There are pictures of astronauts on the moon. Who took them? Who took them? There are pictures of astronauts supposedly on the moon with their helmets off. Who took the pictures? We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any of those things. And yet they had a live transmission telecast from the moon on TV, where they could hear them. One small step for man, one giant step for mankind. Live? How? What satellites? How? Ask yourself that. And then they said we never went back. He did it in a studio. He did it in a studio. There is documentation of them, a group of Hollywood film crew people painting the surface. There's a picture of Stanley Kubrick with this little magnifying glass looking at what's supposed to be the footprint of the astronaut. Most space stuff, when you see the astronauts in tanks and they're supposed to be airborne and they flip around and they have to hold on to things, most of that is done in underwater in Texas. Also, MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the film studio, started using that globe as their logo. The blue marble that's supposed to represent the Earth was not discovered until 1960-something or 70-something. How on earth did they use a replica of the Earth in 1940-something when they didn't know it existed like that? No one knew at that time that it was round, but this was the movie studio's logo. And then the Earth model came and looked exactly like that years later. How? Not the least of which is most topography, map making, and all the maps from back in the day show you that the Earth is flat. Again, the Bible said the 4 corners of the earth. A circle doesn't have corners. There is a show called Under the Dome. I want y'all to look that up on, I think it's on Prime or Netflix. Y'all got to watch that. It's going to change your perspective. The firmament is the dome over the earth. The Bible says the 4 corners of the earth. Oh, yes, absolutely. There's a firmament over the earth. Who knows anything about the ice wall in Antarctica? Yeah, craziness. Now that is the truest thing I've heard. They lie about everything. Everything you think you know is a lie. How many people know that Dr. Martin Luther King was killed by the United States government and it was proven in the 90s? and that the King family won a lawsuit in the 90s proving that the United States of America killed Dr. King. You know, most people still don't know that. They still going on with this Lee Harvey Oswald lie. Know these things. That's right. What we think is the truth and what mainstream society believes to be the truth are all lies. Fictitious stories created, they sued and won in the 90s. I had somebody argue me down a couple of years ago. I was like, are you kidding me? They sued and won. But people don't know. They are masterful. I knew a guy that used to call into the radio show. His name was Brother Muhammad. So help me God. He used to always say, the American public is being hypnotized with Dr. Martin Luther King's voice. He said there was a cadence in his voice, and it was programmed to hypnotize. This man believed it. I can neither confirm or deny, but when I tell you, he spoke that thing with conviction. He believed it in his heart and soul, and he would put up all types of proof, but he did know a lot also. He would always talk about the Council of Nicaea and all types of stuff. He was brilliant, but a lot of people slept on him, and then they used to try to ridicule him too. Yeah, that's right. There's so much. There's so much. If you read the description, let me see that statement. Oh, absolutely. The Book of Enoch. You listen, everybody should get a copy of the Book of Enoch. Everybody should get a copy of the Apocrypha. These are things we need to have. If we want to know the true stories. Yeah. Yep. But she was dark-skinned and she was a teen mother for Claudine Colvin. She was dark-skinned and she was a teen mother. And so the Southern Christian Leadership Conference decided that she was not a sympathetic enough figure. And so they waited till Rosa Parks, who was the secretary of the SCLC, and they decided to use her because she was a more sympathetic figure. Yeah, unfortunate. It's okay, baby. You get in your history class now. That's the purpose that we have these channels and have these discussions. It's important and it's vital. Welcome all, Nerd Herd. When you come in, make sure you throw a thumbs up. That's right. That's right. And listen, there's so much out there. There's so much out there. Like I said before, Latoya and Renee, if you can, post in the chat. I got some YouTube channels I want you guys to start watching. They are some people classify them as conspiracy theory channels, but no, they are reaction. They do YouTube reaction videos of all the information that's out there in social media. They react to a lot of different things. It's going to open your mind. It's going to open your mind and your eyes. And here's what you got to do. The word says those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. You have to open your mind at the possibilities that everything you thought you knew what you thought you knew was the truth is actually a lie. And then prepare yourself to open yourself to the possibility of hearing the real truth. And a lot of it will shock you, but you need to know. It's gonna take some getting used to, because it's gonna completely shatter the myth and the image of everything you thought you knew. It's going to shatter it, but you need to hear it for your own good. Because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And there's a lot you're going to need to know. You should be prepping. You should be making sure that you have adequate spring water in your house. You need to have supplies in the event. And it's not an if, it's a when the grid shuts down. Every civilization in this world, every great civilization, especially superpower nations, but every civilization has fallen. Everyone except the United States of America. It is just what it is. It's just what it is. It's history. It is history. Every great nation has fallen. The fall of the Roman Empire, the fall of this. There you go. I am Q Hef. You need to be watching his channel. You need to subscribe to his channel. Tell him Natanya sent you, the dopest nerd. You need to watch Dre OG, Dre underscore OG. You need to watch Perky. I watch her sometimes too, Perky. You also need to watch IMQ Hef, Dre OG, Toxic But True Reality. And some of these people are on like YouTube, or they're on those guys that the people that I announced just now are on YouTube. Some of these channels are TikTok channels, but they always play their videos. There's a lot of information you need to get. It's gonna change the way you see the world. You have to, because these people will lure you into a false sense of security, and I'm telling you, it's dangerous. That's right, it's dangerous to continue to believe the narrative that has been pushed to us, because it's all false. That's right. You have to go in with an empty cup. That's a great way to put it. And the truth will truly set you free and make you better, but you have to be willing. The last one was Toxic But True Reality. A lot of his videos are featured on, and it might be Toxic But True Reality too, because sometimes they give so much truth that their channels get banned. They take out a lot of truth tellers. They'll just disappear off the scene, and people are like, what happened to them? And then we find out they pass away. Absolutely. Or something happens, you know. And there's still a lot of people out here Toxic But True Reality 3. Yep, because they keep trying to strike his stuff. When I tell you, you are going to get, oh my goodness, an awakening. But another thing you need to also do is you got to decalcify your third eye. Your third eye is your pineal gland. Your pineal gland will free your mind and allow you to not only learn the truth, but retain it, believe it, absorb it. You got to decalcify your pineal gland. If you are brushing your teeth with fluoride toothbrush, you're killing yourself. One of the biggest lies that we're ever told is fluoride. Like, you should never let them give your children fluoride at the dentist. Google what the effects of fluoride is. The fact that people still use fluoride in 2024 is crazy. It is crazy. I'm astounded by the fact that people are still going to buy Colgate, this, that, Crest, all this, and just brushing their teeth every day. First of all of this stuff, fluoride calcifies your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is something God put in your head to be able to expand your horizons and allow you to see. True vision doesn't require sight. It gives you vision that doesn't require sight. The reason that all these things are happening around, or the truth is lingering around, but people can't pick it up, is because your pineal gland is calcified. There are things that you can do to decalcify your body. You should be drinking chlorophyll. There are vitamins that you need, especially when you are, as a woman, when you are approaching a certain age, you should have magnesium, zinc, D3, K2, and vitamin D3, potassium, magnesium glycinate, zinc. There are things that you should have. You should not ever be taking antibiotics from the hospital, from the doctor. Never. If you take antibiotics, it takes your body 8 years to cycle through the destruction of your gut microbiome. It wipes out all of your bacteria, your good bacteria and your bad bacteria. I use a fluoride-free toothbrush for years. I have a girlfriend, she used to always be, you just do too much always with these extra things. I'm like, okay, calcify your pineal gland if you want to. What you want from me? You know, I'm not going to be that. I never forget when my daughter was 5. She was at her grandmother's house, her father's mom. And they were having a cookout or whatever. And they said, come over here, baby. Come get some of this corn. And she was like, no, thank you. And they was like, what's your problem? She was like, I don't eat that. It's GMO. And so her grandmother's friends was like, what? What you talking about? And her grandmother's like, you know, Ebony and all that big fancy talk. Oh, you too good for grandma's corn? My daughter was like, it's GMO. We don't eat that. So, of course, one of them was like, what's GMO? And she was like, Genetically modified organisms. What do you mean what's GMO? Listen, these people was livid. You hear me? And they were just like, here she goes with all this stuff. And now they all like, oh, what was that stuff you said again? You know, listen, I'm not going to fight anybody to know the truth. You just have to, there comes a time where you have to want it. I can't fight you to tell you the truth. I won't. I won't do it. Nirvana, can you bring me the toothbrush, please? Excuse me, toothpaste? So I can show the Nerd Herd family. Grazie, grazie. In the place of antibiotics, you need to get on an auto ship. Go on Amazon, oregano oil. Bring me that oregano oil too, please, off my nightstand. I use Hello. You need to, I don't care if you just bought yourself. There you go. We perish for lack of knowledge, indeed. I don't care if you just bought yourself some Crest. Toss that junk. Don't even give it away. Toss it, because you don't want nobody else. And look, good old baking soda too. In fact, there are people that have like spiders and bugs and roaches and this and that and in their house, and they had people buying all these expensive things all these years. Do you want to know what kills bugs better than anything? Baking soda. Ciao. This is oil of oregano. You should be taking this every single day. This oil of oregano is, you're going to take like 4 drops or 8 drops, depending on how strong you can take it, in your water. So if you're drinking a water bottle, when you get down to like 2 ounces of water, you drop like 3 or 4. You want it concentrated. You want it 3 or 4. It's very good, but you should mix your baking soda, because sometimes baking soda straight is a little too abrasive for the enamel. You can wash with baking soda straight sometimes, but I would say mix it. Mix your baking soda with coconut oil. Mix your baking soda. You could put a little lemon, put peroxide, and make a paste, and then you brush. Trust me, white and clean your mouth. And here's what you should do regularly, every so often. White vinegar, a little white vinegar and water diluted, because if you use it too strong, it's going to give you this pasty film in your mouth that is dry. It takes a few days to cycle through to get it out of your mouth. You'll be totally annoyed. But you're going to put white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, and a little water diluted, and rinse your mouth with that. Also, you should be oil pulling. Oil pulling takes more bacteria out of your mouth and your body and toxins than anything. You're going to take a little coconut oil. So you want to get, this is the Hello. Yeah, well, chewing cloves. Cloves is great for your health. Cloves are for protection. You should put 2 or 3 little cloves in your pocket every day, because they will protect you from bad vibes and juju. Also, if you have a toothache, there is nothing better than cloves. You stick some cloves in that tooth, wherever the tooth is, or in that region of the mouth. Absolutely. I believe in colonics. You should have a colonic every so often. But there are better things also that you can take. Colonics work because they give you this combination. Well, I don't know how they do them now, but back in the days, 20 years ago when I used to get colonics, they give you this combination of like flaxseed and all these natural herbs that are a laxative. You take it the day before. You consume that. It's already going to push through your system as a means of irrigating you, to get you prepared for it, so that it is loosened and pushed out of your system. However, you should find a herbal store in your area, and you should be taking herbal remedies. Stay away from these pharmaceuticals. They are not here for your health. Pharmaceuticals are to get you hooked. It's not the healthcare business, it's the sick care business. Make sure they are food grade essential oils, because essential oils come in all forms. But if they're not food grade, you could do yourself more harm than good. They have to be food grade essential oils for you to consume, food or medical grade. Wild oregano oil is a natural antibiotic. This will clean your body and keep you free of a lot of things. What happens is a lot of people, there is an overgrowth of yeast. There's an epidemic level of overgrowth of yeast in this world. So you interact with some people. You ever been standing close to some people? It might be somebody you work with or somebody you interact with regularly, and they have a white hue on their face. It almost looks like a peach fuzz. And it's like this kind of white peach fuzz. And it might not be flagrantly obvious, but if you get close to them, you can see it. That is candida on the surface of your skin, aka yeast on your skin. It is epidemic. There is a cataclysmic overgrowth of yeast, and a lot of people are suffering from it. It's dangerous. It's highly contagious. If you take wild oregano oil daily, you will protect yourself from that. Also, I tell people all the time, I do this. Yep. Because when you take antibiotics, they kill your gut microbiome. Your gut microbiome is equivalent to your brain. Everything, yeast feeds off of sugar. Yeah, nobody should be consuming white sugar. I mean, sugar in general. But white sugar, get it out of your system. Agave nectar, get it out of your house. Get sugar out of your house. Get agave nectar out of your house. Agave nectar is not good. Agave nectar will predispose you to diabetes like a mug. Because it has fructose in it. It has more fructose in it than high fructose corn syrup. Get it out of your house. A lot of people be like, oh, I take agave. I'm like, you taking a shovel and digging your grave early. But people get these notions. They hear these. Just because something is commercially packaged to sell doesn't mean it's good for you. Lots of stuff is for sale legally, commercially packaged. Renee be taking agave. Why you cover your eyes? Oh yeah, it mess with your pH big time. Big time. I wouldn't be astonished. I got a sister who's a nurse. My sister be piling sugar in her damn tea. Like, I'm like, I don't get it. My mother let sugar go at 14 years. Excuse me, when I was 14, when I was 12. When I was 14, I joined also. I got off of sugar at the age of 14. I am 54. I am 40 years sugar-free. 40 years. And then people be like, you look so good. You know why? Because I don't consume sugar. Listen to me. Sugar will aid you and kill you. It is a few chemical compounds away from cocaine. Okay? Cocaine. And it is highly addictive. It destroys your body. And it is the leading cause of the C word. The leading cause of the big C. Sugar. Why do you think they dress this little picture up in a red outfit and say, hey, Kool-Aid, and make him jump through the window to get a whole generation of people hooked on Kool-Aid? I never forget. My daughter had her friends over when she was younger, and I promise you, I made them some breakfast and some hot porridge or something, and they was like, can we have the sugar? And my daughter was like, sugar? What sugar? It was like, to sweeten us. She was like, we don't got no sugar. They was like, how do you make your Kool-Aid? My daughter was like, Kool-Aid? We don't drink Kool-Aid. Boy, they treated my daughter like she had the plague at school. They treated my poor child like she had the plague. And them girls ain't never come back. Oh, you should be scared of sugar. Sugar is the #1 cause of the big C. And yeast feeds off of sugar. You know what the big C is? What's the zodiac sign after Gemini before Leo? Yes. Stay away from that. It's unaliving people. There you go. I have a whole epidemic of girlfriends my age, and this is years ago. They all started developing the big C. And what they all had in common is they is some Kool-Aid drinkers, they is some candy, they is some They use sugar like it's going out of style, but it's not their fault. We were conditioned this way. Just like they judge us by, by your BMI, your body mass index. That's right. Absolutely. Our whole bone structure and everything is completely different, but you're right. That's right, Renee. We love you. We want you to do better. Absolutely. I believe in you. And here's the deal. Here's something else. They say like eczema and different things also can come from meat. Psoriasis, eczema, all of that. And guess why? They are saying because we are eating meat that is being slaughtered in a horrific way, and the animals are full of fear and everything when it's essentially animal adrenochrome. Once you take that negative energy because they're so full of fear into your body, you're eating trauma meat, trauma food. And for all the people who are training themselves on this, oh, I only eat the Impossible Burger. Girl, if y'all don't get off that junk, it's all of those fake sausage, fake burgers, fake this, fake, they're made of soy. You are not supposed to consume soy. The human body is not supposed to consume soy. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you have to definitely watch what you eat with lupus. But I'm going to tell you something. I heard of some very good, so there are some, I can't remember the doctor's name off the top. I watch them all the time. But there are some doctors who have discovered, so people that have we go to certain words, the algorithm stops you from saying certain words. So we are going to use the term the big C. And all type of autoimmune, because it's your gut microbiome that is off. I promise you, it is your gut microbiome. So these are some doctors who are medical doctors, and they realized that the typical, yes, the flare-ups are awful. And I have a very good girlfriend who has lupus as well. The typical methods used for supposed to be treating some illnesses were not beneficial. So one of them, I'm sorry to hear that, Kai. One of them whose mom, so these two doctors know each other. And what they saw each other, and he said, oh, how's everything going in your life? He's like, well, my mom's really sick. He's like, what's going on with her? She had the big C. She had stage 4 of the big C. Well, guess what? He said, I've been doing some research study in my lab, and I've discovered that if your gut microbiome has all of the necessary bacteria, it will eliminate the big C. And so guess what they did for his mother? Prepare yourself, because it's going to sound gross. But if you understand how your gut microbiome works with good and bad bacteria, it's supposed to have more good bacteria than bad, but you need the balance to make it function so that they could be homeostasis. They did a fecal transplant. They took the fecal matter of someone with a healthy gut microbiome, implanted it into his mother who had stage 4 of the big C, and guess what? Not only is she in full relapse, it stepped down to like stage 1. And it is controlled, and she is in full relapse. Fecal transplant. Now, to the naked ear, you'd be like, you're going to take fecal matter out of poop out of somebody and put it in me? If their gut microbiome is healthy, they will save your life. Save your life. So we got to get out of this dependence on traditional pharmaceuticals, because they're not in the business of curing anybody. You see the commercials. If you have restless leg syndrome, take trisfligdaflan. Side effects are leaky gut, exploding diarrhea, this, that, 50 million things. Absolutely, the fecal transplant worked. His mother is healthy. She had stage 4. She has stepped down to stage 1 and is managed. She's in full remission, traveling and living her life. The woman was frail when she was a stage 4. But you know, like Dr. Sebi and like lots of doctors say, the number one illness is inflammation and mucus. If you get inflammation, and oh, yes, he will every time. If you get rid of inflammation out of your body and mucus, it is the cure to all disease. Not the least of which is disease is not only predicated on what we see, the issues that we have and the problems that we see are the after effect. But if you have dis-ease in your spirit, you will have disease in your body. You got to get hate, resentment, lack of forgiveness out of you. All of that holding grudges and all that, that's dis-ease in your spirit. It turns to disease in your body. What good, if you know that holding a grudge and having beef with family members that you haven't seen in eons and you just still mad, and you saw a picture on Facebook and she was at the family outing and you didn't go, and you like, what's so good about her? What they got her in there for you? All of that turns to illness. Y'all got to get all of that out of you. When I tell you I don't hold grudges, I don't hold grudges for nothing. It's the way God wired me, though. I ain't even going to sit here and claim ownership. It does not work. Now, I know a homegirl that is a grudge holder, and when I tell you, something always wrong with her. Oh, this hurt, that hurt, this don't feel good, this other. Like, you got hate in your spirit. We got to get all of that out. No, we're not a mess. We are an amalgamation of what we've been through, what we experienced, what we came through, and somebody's mal wishes. We're going to overcome all that. We popping up in here. We are the nerd herd, baby. Information is the key to health. If we get all of these negative things out of our mind, body, soul, spirit, it takes a lot to hold a grudge. That's right. This is our tribe. Over here, you come to get that good. That good information, that good camaraderie, that good exchange of energy. We got the good over here. And that's what it's about. We get our pH balance in order. We get our bodies to be alkaline. You cure all of that stuff. There's herbs. You can drink teas. There are herbs. Yeah, unforgiveness is so bad. And if you're on your kingdom journey, because I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about spirituality, your personal relationship with the Lord. If you're on your kingdom journey and you call yourself a follower of the Most High and you hold grudges and you got anger, you haven't learned your lesson yet. The Most High, a wise man once told me, every 3 to 5 years, the Most High will tell, oh yeah, laundry products. But they said every 3 to 5 years, the Most High will give you a series of tests. If you pass the test, you ascend to the next stage in your life. If you fail, you might see somebody who's 45, but they act 15. That's you know how many cycles they failed? And here's why. Here was the wise man. He was my now 35-year-old son, but he told me this when he was 13, around his 13th birthday. Told me this around his 13th, and when I tell you, profound. I share it with everybody. If you fail those tests, you are destined to repeat it. Any stage of development you fail, you're destined to repeat it. And sometimes it takes the third try before we get it. That's okay. That's life. But we have got to know the trajectory we've been following with the subconscious programming. Our parents did the best they could. A lot of people still carry hurt and pain and resentment from what their parents either did or didn't do. The best way to heal that in your spirit, because that's the trauma that a lot of people hold on to, and it makes it very hard for them to heal from that. The best way to overcome that is to remove the titles. Take the title off of your parents. Respect them as your mom and dad. But if you sit down in your time of reasoning where you're sitting down and getting yourself together and you think of them as not just mom and dad, but a man and a woman who has hurt, pain, disappointments, trauma, abuse, issues that need tissues, things that they can't share with anybody, things that were done to them that they're too afraid to reveal. if you take the title off and you just look at them as a man and a woman who are fallible and have issues that need tissues, you can respect them better. Because guess what? As much as you criticize our parents, and I'm not saying they're perfect, some of our parents have done a lot of ish. But here's what I do know. You don't know their whole story. You don't know their whole story. You might have a mom that's mean as the day is long. You might not know that her brothers and her father and all the men in the family used to rape her. And so she might be bitter. She's bitter because she's hurt. So what good is it that you be like, oh, she get on my nerves. She is so mean. She this and that. Guess what? When you find people who are mean, that is the number one indicator of pain and trauma that they haven't overcome. You do not know her story. You don't know if she with your daddy because the boy that knocked her up said she a ugly so-and-so and I don't want nothing to do with this heifer. And your mother said, y'all better get this chicken, this bastard child out my house. And then one of your brother's friends and came along and was like, all right, I'll take her. And here she go like, I don't like him. But guess what? Your mama said, good, go. I want this heifer and this bastard child out my house. And so she had to live a life with a man she didn't love, but she had to play nice because he saved her from a bad situation. You do not know your mother's story. And our parents are from a time where they don't tell all of that. We got to stop judging people for this, that, the other. Oh, I'm mad at my mother because she gave me up. Let me tell you something. As much as that hurts, and I would never speak to your pain and invalidate it, one of the greatest acts of love you can give a child is to give them up and let somebody else raise them if you know you are so damaged and effed up that you would break them. It's harder to fix an adult than a broken child. Sometimes you got to get out the way and let somebody else raise them who can do it better. The worst thing, I would rather get out of the way, allow somebody to raise them properly, and then come back and bare my soul and apologize and ask them for friendship first. Indeed, because listen, we are the product of a broken people. No one ever, you hear when something happens in society, and God forbid it happens at a white school, what's the first sentence they say? Grief counselors have been called in to help the children deal with it. You ever seen a grief counselor in an inner city school? We go through trauma and abuse and this and that and crime every day. Who's ever talked to a grief counselor at their school because something happened? If you have, raise your hand in the chat. Put a hand emoji. We are a people with unresolved trauma. Unresolved trauma. We've never healed. We've never talked to, some of us in our adult years may have talked to a therapist or a psychologist or whatever, but as a general rule, people die every day in our community. Ain't nobody sent no grief counselors in. None. And so when you walk around with all this unresolved trauma, this is what it makes. It makes a bunch of people who are coping and still in pain and mad and hurt. And you take that into your relationships. You take that into your dating situation. You take that into your marriages. You take that into work. You take that everywhere. Your pain goes with you everywhere you go until it's resolved. You got to do your shadow work. There's a book that you can get on the TikTok shop. I don't know if it's still available, but it was there. It's called The Shadow Work Journal. You got to go back and heal that little child inside of you. Well, here's the deal. You're right. And it's generational trauma. And you're right. I advocate people to come out and have those conversations. But guess what? We are a product of, we have conditioned response. We have been conditioned to believe, don't y'all, anything that go on in this house, don't y'all air our dirty laundry outside. That is programming. That is concrete permanence in some people's mind. They will take all kinds of abuse and endure all kinds of stuff in the house and go out and smile. Hey, girl, how you doing? And be the sweetest and most fancy and laughy thing in the street. And baby, when they get to that house and they got that crazy husband or that brother that used to rape them when he was younger, and mama won't throw him out because he ain't got nowhere to go, and he still lived there. He terrorized your ass every night. Like, let's be honest. Let's be honest. And we have to break these cycles. We have to. But breaking the cycle might mean you have to walk away from some people. And I'm not saying permanently, but for a significant amount of time, you may have to get away so you could heal. That might look like you having to spend more money because you were leaving the family household and you're going somewhere and you got to pay all the rent by yourself. That extra job and doing a few extra hours every night at the bar or something or wherever or Target might be what it takes to give you that peace of mind. Now, there's a trade-off. You're going to be a little exhausted because you're going to get that second job. But guess what? If it means totally breaking away from the scenario and the environment that's causing you pain and broke you, you have to do it. Oh my. I had a sister that had a stroke. My sister had a stroke. Indeed, we are also, I told y'all we got 100% success rate. 100% success rate of everything you ever been through. My younger sister had a stroke 4 years ago when she was giving birth to her son. And by the grace of God, her healing, I was like, absolutely not. I said, she was paralyzed and she was in a coma. And I said, they were talking to her like, okay, I'm going to lift you up and put this diaper on you. I said, no, sir, no. We're not going to do this. No. My sister is a brilliant woman. She worked in the fashion industry. She would be in Milan and this and that. And and when I say diva, not from a diva attitude, just was that dope, beautiful, fly as all get out, everything, just career woman. I said, no, sir. Y'all not about to turn my sister into no vegetable. Nope. And trust me, I have a metal rod in my spine. I told y'all I got scoliosis. I used to go by her bed and be like, when I first went to the hospital, I said, what do you need more than anything? She couldn't really talk. It was like, I said, take your time. What do you need more than anything? She said, I'm itchy. I lift her out that bed, put her in that wheelchair, took her in that bathroom, stripped her down and scrubbed her from head to toe. We have to know what love looks like. Love looks like true love, unconditional love. We have to start exemplifying that so we can receive it. True love looks like if you my girlfriend, oh my. I'm so sorry to hear that, LaToya. Well, there you go. Look at God. Oh, listen. Now, that's a big topic for me. Medical apartheid. Those of you who know, my husband had kidney disease and diabetes and the whole gamut. Kidney transplant, congestive heart failure, and all of the secondary and tertiary illnesses associated with diabetes. I never knew diabetes was that bad. Let me tell you something. These folks, medical apartheid is these people telling you, oh, she's too far gone. She's not going to make it. You should take her off. Stop listening to these folks. I put a video on my page today about a person that was shot in the head. And this doctor, it was one of those medical shows. And the doctor walked into the hallway and was like to another doctor, could you come and pronounce this guy? He was shot in the head. I have somebody waiting and such and such. We need a kidney transplant. We need his organs. And she was like, she was hesitant. Like, what are you talking about? And all the people in the room were so apathetic. And she was like, she's like, what's his name? And one of the nurses was like, oh, his name is Mr., Mackelson or something like that. And she's like, Mr. Mackelson, and she's doing that thing where they take their fist and rub it in your thing, Mr. Mackelson, and they're looking at her laughing like, like he's shot in the head. And the doctor's all cynical. He's like, come on, I need these organs. Just pronounce him and let's go. What are you doing? And all this stuff. And she was like, Mr. Mackelson, she was doing that thing with the knuckles and rubbing his chest. Mr. Mackelson, do you hear me, Mr. Mackelson? And he kind of was just laying there. And they was just like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? He's a goner. We just need these organs before he dies, and then we can't use the organs. And so help me God. She said, Mr. Mackelson, if you can hear me, grab my hand. He reached up and grabbed her hand. Everybody jumped. And they were like, and the doctor's like, oh, please, that's just a reflex. She's like, a reflex? She's like, Mr. Mackelson, if you can hear me, raise your finger. That sucker threw that finger up to the other doctor, like the middle finger, like, here. And she was like, ugh. and he was still alive. They was about to take him out. Now, mind you, this thing rubbed me a special kind of way because y'all know I got shot in my face. I got shot in the head. So this thing rubbed me. Listen, thank God. Thank God that he kept me whole. And I didn't have any deficits in communication, especially at the time. So I could cry aloud and spare not and let them know who shot me, like I did on the table. I was screaming out that he shot me. Even the doctor that was doing my surgery before they put me under ended up testifying in the case. But look at that. Look at that. They were ready. Listen, there are some people in this world who devalue you so much that the only value that you have to them is what they can take from you for someone else. Now, how disgusting is that? Let me tell you something. While organ donation, my husband was a recipient of an organ donation, but organ donation is so skeptical because guess what? They gotta designate you as a viable candidate while you're still alive. So they are, thank you, Nancy, I appreciate that. They are not trying to save your life. They see you as organs. They got to take you before you're dead. They don't take nothing. They see you as a young black guy in the hood, got shot up there. Go tell your mother, he's too far gone. You might as well make your peace with him and give him and do an organ transplant to save other people. And it's not necessarily true. Get second and third opinions. You saw that case of the young man, and I have to go back and do that video. He was a football player in college. Somebody had a car accident. He got out to help the woman, and someone hit him. And he was on life support. And the hospital would not help. They wanted his organs. And the family wanted him transferred. Nope, they wanted them organs, honey. You be careful putting that organ donor. You know the theory, allegedly, I'm not saying this is YouTube, this is for entertainment and educational purposes. Do not take anything as fact. Go do your research, yada, yada, yada. You know, the whole YouTube spiel. These are opinions, and we hold our inalienable right to free speech as protected by the United States Constitution, First Amendment. The young man was a black football player, and his parents were out of town. Yes, and the dad kept pumping his heart. That was one of the saddest things I ever saw, because you saw the nurse in the room. They were so apathetic. I'm telling you, you know, they theorized, this is what the theory is, allegedly, that they check to see who has organ donation on their licenses and their permits. And oftentimes you will see a corner get sprayed with a whole bunch of guys on it because the most coveted organs are of young black men. Everybody wants the organs of young black men. Consider, if you will, for a moment, the perspective that all of these drive-bys are not necessarily beef or drug drive-bys. Some of them are organ harvesting. Because if there's 6 guys on the corner and you come spray the corner, it's easy to say drugs. But guess what? What's the guarantee that it is? Those are viable organ donors. The organs that are the most coveted in the donation sphere are young black men. The theory is one of the, I'll say, Rockefellers got Trayvon Martin's heart. I don't know if y'all ever heard that theory before, but it's out there. Allegedly. Keep in mind, you are more valuable to them dead. I always tell people, when there's guys hanging on the corner, that's right. They search organs, they search driver's license for blood types and all that stuff so they can know who to take out. Don't sleep. We live in a, if you know, you know. Listen, never sleep. Never sleep. It might seem like, oh, I'm sure they don't do that. The minute you got to utter that statement, that means you're wrong. They do it. They do it. I had to check. They were trying to make me take my husband off of life support. My husband and I had this discussion. My husband asked me to be his healthcare proxy, and those are some forms you guys should have. I was his healthcare proxy. So help me God, they tried to implore me to take him off. I had a meeting on Zoom all the big hospital administrators, they always call with like a black chaplain in to try to, they trying to help you. I said, be quiet. Hush. If you want to let them use you, that's your business. I said, you are a woman of God. You're supposed to be a woman of God. And you know it is not the doctrine of the body of Christ to take you off of life support. He don't have the authority. I said, I am his voice. I am his healthcare proxy. God is the Alpha and the Omega. When he is ready for us to go, all he got to do is that, and you gone. Midstream. I said, look, Dr. Kevorkian. When I called him that, you know who Dr. Kevorkian is. The suicide doctor. Baby, I called that head of the ethics division of the hospital. I said, look, Dr. Kevorkian, honey, them children, them folks was clutching their pearls. Like, did she say Dr. Kevorkian? Nobody wanted to look at the Zoom. I said, listen. He was like, he's gonna die. I said, so are you and your mama. Go take her off of life support. I said, what, you need a bed? Go in the hospital basement and find yourself a spare bed because you won't get this one. I said, you better not let a fly land on my husband. You better give him top-notch treatment like you would give yourself or your mama. I said, anything happened to him, you're going to regret it, Dr. Kevorkian. You better take care of him like you taking care of your mama. They were on the thing like, Dr. Kevorkian. Dr. Kevorkian is the doctor who is infamous for assisted suicide. You call them that, baby. And he's the head of ethics. I said, you the head of ethics, and that's what you telling black people? I said, you don't value the life of this black man? I said, this man has a rich life. We created a family. We have exponential generations. We got a grandchild. I'm not taking him off because you say God is the Alpha and the Omega. He giveth life and he take it away. And you are not going to make me walk around with the notion that I took my husband off and tomorrow God could have said, I'm going to raise you like Lazarus. No. God could decide the next day, I'm going to breathe life into your weary bones. Get up and walk. Take up your mat and walk. Who are you to tell me to carry that through the rest of my life? I am always astounded when black people allow the doctors to say, make your peace. We're going to take him off. And people disconnect their people in one day. I'm like, y'all didn't like them. Y'all been waiting for them to go. Absolutely. And everybody should have a healthcare proxy form. You can determine you want them. And what the thing states is that it states that you are requesting that they exhaust all medical remedies to save your life, and you want to be left connected until God takes you home. Your death is natural. Your unaliving is natural. You have the right to make that decision, and you should have someone that you trust to oversee that. Yeah, I'm not with that. I'm not with that pulling the plug, because then you have to live with the notion that you are the person who pulled the plug. Why would somebody want to live like that? You need to have, listen, the valley of dry bones. That's right. All it takes is God to go and breathe life into your weary bones. I'm not taking it upon myself to be the Alpha and Omega. Oh, no. And listen, like Erica said, most intellects do not believe in God, but they fear us just the same. I'm not taking God's job. That's already filled. That position is filled, boo. That is the Alpha and the Omega. I said it with my whole chest, and I meant that. I said, take your mama off. They was in the Zoom like, And then he tried to say, talk to my son and go, she's so angry. My son's like, yo, who you talking to? Don't talk to my mother like that. You respect my mother, okay? That's my father, but that's her husband. Respect my mother. Don't talk around my mother and like you talking to other people. Why are you talking to me? That's my mother. Respect my mother. Address her. That sucker was checked like, excuse me. Okay, then. Like, don't play with me about my husband. I don't understand that, how people can remove their family in one day. What is the rush? That is crazy. And listen, there is something to carry. There is something to carry. Indeed, he's a great son. You carry that with you, because you're going to bear the responsibility of that on your chest. And sometimes that's too great and too much for people to bear. And let me tell you the irony for those of you who don't know, because the nerd herd knows. Let me tell you the irony of the situation. You know when my husband passed? He had a massive heart attack on February 16th. He stayed on life support for 7.5 weeks. He passed away on our anniversary. Yep. And that's how I knew it was God. That's how I was able to, I suffered and I went through a lot. I felt like every song on the radio was talking to me. I was driving down the street bawling so bad. And I'm going to tell you something. We were in Miami and I was bawling inconsolable. Me and my daughter, we were in the room with him when he passed. And I called my son trying to, because I couldn't call everybody. I called my son to tell him he's the junior. And I thought he was home and he was driving. And oh my God, it was devastating. So many things that I regret and I feel like I did wrong. But in the time, you don't know. You just doing what you think you could do. And oh my gosh, it was traumatic. But why I was able to feel peace was we were in the room and the nurses and doctors were like, oh, we have so many patients. We never had anybody that, because I would, even when I wasn't at the hospital, I would call like all the time, put him on FaceTime. And they was like, oh, mommy, he's not responding. I said, put him on FaceTime. And he would be trying to push the intubation out of his mouth while I was on him. And they were like, oh my God, he doesn't respond to anything. I said, he doesn't know you. He doesn't understand that he's in a coma. He is probably in purgatory trying to understand who are all these people talking around me? Where's my family? I said he responds when I call because he knows me. He don't know you, lady. And you're probably being rough and apathetic and insensitive. He doesn't know you. You look at him as a body laying in the bed. So I was just like, so we were standing there and they were like, tell us. They were like, oh my God, we see the love. We're so sorry. Because a few of them gave me a hard time. And they were like, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. And they said, tell us something nice about him. Because I felt him pulling and pulling and calling me. I told my daughter, we have to go to the hospital. Dad is calling. I knew. And our anniversary was so important to him. Like, this sucker will be wishing me happy anniversary on, 11:50 the night before. Like, that was his thing. And it just so happens, I was like, we have to go be with him in the hospital for the anniversary. And we're in the hospital. And so they're like, tell us something funny. And so when I first met him, I was walking down the street. He was walking behind me. And I was like, this guy's going to try to rob me. Because every time I cross the street, he crossed. And I was like, is he going to rob me? And they say the last thing to go is the hearing. That's right. And so I said, okay, there's a store down the block. I'm going to go in the corner store. And if he follows me in there, I'm going to jump out at him. So I went into the store and I went around the aisle. And then he came around the aisle. And when we kind of collided and I was like, what you trying to do? Rob me or something? And he said, Jamaican. He was like, rob you? He started chuckling. He said, boy, baby. And he stuttered. He was like, you look so good. I spent $1 million on you. And I was like, hey, okay to you. And that was it. We went outside. We started chatting. And then he was like, we were just talking and we just talked and he was nice. And he happened to say like, when's your birthday? And I was like, oh, my birthday is June 12th. When he said, stop lying. That's the same day as my birthday. We were born on the same day. When I tell you a love story, you will never know. And he was like, your birthday is June 12th. I said, let me see your ID. He took out his ID, June 12th. That man was born the same day as me. And so help me God. He was born the same day as me and he passed away on our wedding anniversary. So when I told the people, that was our little joke. I would always tell him, oh, you still owe me $995,000 and I'm here to collect. And we would laugh like two fools. When I tell you, we would laugh like two fools. That was our joke. And so help me God, when I was telling it to the doctors, I said it and all of a sudden, beep, 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 all these machines started going off and he had a massive heart attack and he passed away. And I was crying, but I was like, I said, he's laughing. This is his final laugh. Because we would laugh like absolute and total fools. Like that was our thing. And I just knew that he was laughing again, his final laugh. And it was tough at the time, but as time went on, I was still emotional about it. But I'm telling you, I felt peace because I never left his side. I never left his side. I loved him. That was just my best friend in the whole wide world. And I'm grateful for him. I mean, we created, I went from thinking it's beautiful and sad. It is. Thank you. I went from thinking he was going to rob me, and, we created a whole family. I bore his destiny in my womb. We have a grandchild. Like, you don't get better than that. And she, remember that Grandma Shark, do, 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 do. So she used to call her grandpa, Grandpa Shark. That was his nickname. And we talk about him every day like he's here. I talk about him all the time. When she walk in the house, I have a big picture of him, and, I have his ashes and everything. I laid him to rest. And I promise you, she'll come inside and she'll be like, "Hi, Grandpa Shark." And she goes over to his ashes and his picture. "Hi, Grandpa Shark. I love you, Grandpa Shark." And she's a big girl. She 8. I talk about Grandpa Shark every day. Every day. I pray to him. I pray for him. I talk about him every day because our ancestors are still here with us. Oh, absolutely. Listen, what the word says. A man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and gets favor from the Lord. And gets favor from the Lord. And it wasn't perfect, I don't want to say mistake. He had some fallible moments, as did I, but he had a fallible moment where he stepped out and had an infidelity, but I'm not a grudge holder. I was upset, but I got past it. Like, this is your child. She's a part of the family. And now my kids have a great relationship with her. Who am I to, clearly God wanted that child in this world. So who am I to stand bigger than God and be like, no, I'm not a grudge holder. I never forget when he brought her to me, finally. I was like, when are you going to bring this child to me? I want to see her. So the child's mother, I was at my grandmother's house this particular day, and they didn't live far. So he went and got them and brought them over. And so he walked up the porch with the little girl. I was like, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful." And then the mother was standing all the way down at the curb in the street. I said, "What you doing down there?" And she was just like, And I said, "Listen here, we don't do that here. Come on up here. What you standing outside in the curb for? Come on." And she was like, "Me? Oh, you sure?" I was like, "Am I sure?" I said, "Come in here." So she came up the porch, and I was like, "Listen, honey, we family now. You joined the family, so we family now. That's what it is." And she just looked at me and she touched her chest and she was like, "Oh my God, he talks about you so much like you're the greatest thing in the world. My God, like you really are all the things he says." And I was like, "Yeah, what you want me?" I said, "I don't have no malice." I said, "This is not the ideal situation. I didn't want this, but she exists. What am I gonna do? She exists. She's a part of our family. So what am I gonna do?" And listen, even we had broke up and he was dealing with another woman and she had a child. He was raising her child. He'd bring the child to I did her hair for 5th grade graduation. Like, I'm a unique woman. I promise you, I don't have no time for malice. I don't. This child called me her stepmother and loved me and will come. Her mother didn't even know we had interaction. She would come to me, even when she grew up. I did her hair for 5th grade graduation, all the way I've been in her life. And she would come when she was an adult. She would come and pick up the boys. She moved to Atlanta. She would come to my house for Sunday dinner. And anytime she wanted, she would wash clothes. And if she wanted to come just chill at the house, she would take her brothers skating and all of that and do all types of stuff. And it just so happened one day her mom called and she answered the phone. She was like, "Oh, Mommy, I'll call you back." And I was like, "Hey, Doreen." And she said, the Jamaicans call me Tanya. And she was like, "Oh, how come I hear Tanya's voice? Where are you that you near Tanya?" And I was like, "Child, I've been around, girl." And she was just like, "What?" I said, "Let me speak to Doreen." I could see the look on her face. Ooh, she was terrified. You hear me? I said, "Girl, give me the phone." I was like, "Hey, girl, what's up?" She was like, "What is she doing at your house? Where are you? Where are you guys that she's at your house?" I said, "Girl, I've been around this whole time." I said, "I've been around the whole time." She was like, "What?" I said, "Yes, I've been here." I said, "You wasted your time having malice with me. I don't know why you decided that I was your enemy. I never was your enemy." And she was just like, "No, well, I don't." She was so angry. And I said, "Why did you hate me so much? What was this animosity towards me?" why do you hate me so much? You were with my ex. Why did you hate me so much? And she said, because when they would argue, he would tell her, and you know how black people separate, child. We wasn't divorced or nothing. You know how it be. It just, the world is how we do it. Because he was like, I'm not divorcing you. You my wife. I ain't going nowhere. I don't care. Go live your life. I'm not divorcing you. And I was just like, whatever, sucker. And they were together, and so help me God. She said, oh, because you and him were seeing each other. I said, that's a lie. She was like, you were sleeping with him. I said, no, you are 100% wrong. That's not true. You guys were together. I don't play that game. And she said, but anytime we would fall out, he would curse her out and say, cha, move your blood clot. You're not nice like my wife. My wife are the best, man. And I was like, what? I said, you allowed a man, you lived with a man, and you allowed this man to tell you you're nothing and you're not as good as his wife? I said, if I was that good, me and him would still been together at the time. What are you talking about? I said, you let him psych you into that. You put yourself in that. Because first of all, you knew he was still officially married when you decided to be with him. You was fighting a ghost a whole bunch of years. We was a modern family. You wasted your time having beef with me, and we had no beef. I loved my husband and took care of my husband till the day he left this earth. Well, after they broke up, that was my husband. What can I say? It ain't perfect. It ain't perfect. It's what God gives us. It is what you decide to make it. A lot of times people get caught up in the rapture and fall into this. It has to fit into this fairy tale version of what perfection is. Baby, the joke is, what is perfection? What's perfection? You sit around and wait for perfection, you be a carcass. You got to take it how you get it, make the most of it, decide what you can tolerate and what you cannot, what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate, and you got to move on. If it don't work for you, you got to move on. And that's right, true thing. I'm not going to deny it at all. And that, when I tell you that was my best friend in the whole wide world, I'm talking, even when he was over there doing his thing and I was over here, so help me God. Every day we talk. Even when he went blind because of diabetes, yes, diabetes is vicious. Took his sight and everything. I taught him how to text. When this man would come back, like let's say the times when we weren't together, all of his peoples, they grew up in Jamaica, and then you know how the migration is. They all come to New York, and then they all move to Florida, and then they gravitate to Georgia. And so a bunch of them lived in Georgia, majority of them. And if there was a baby shower, you know, everybody fly to town. Or if there was a wedding anniversary or whatever. And whenever there was an anniversary or whatever, he would come and stay with me. I never forget, we went to his friends. They married the year before we did. And they had their 25th anniversary. And so he came and we stayed, and he stayed for months. And we went to the 25th anniversary together. They lived out in Lawrenceville, like far out. And so help me God. There was a game. So mind you, he was blind, but he would fly. He was fly. Don't get it twisted. He wasn't missing nothing. And that's where I came up with the statement, true vision doesn't require sight. Because while he did not have sight, the man had vision longer than you could imagine. And so he fly. We walk up in the place, we chilling. And they're playing a game. When we come in, they're playing a game. So they said, oh, Roger, hurry, come sit down and play the game. So they did this thing where they took a big garbage bag and they put, let's say all the guys were sitting down blindfolded, and they took one shoe of each woman and put it in the bag. And the men had to stick their hand in the bag blindfolded and figure out which shoe belonged to their wife. Everybody, they went out of order. Everybody took a shoe. Everybody got the shoe wrong except for Roger. And they said, blood clot, Roger. How you know are the shoes and you can't see, Roger? How you know our shirt? And he touched the shoe and he said, cause that shoe that sound like it go clop, 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 clop. And that's what our foot sound like when she walk. And we just busted out laughing. And we was laughing and mingling with people and this, that, the other. And most of the people we knew there, but there was some people we didn't know. And then the lady came over to me and she said, oh my God. We were sitting around talking. She said, you and your husband are so funny. Oh my God. Uno so funny. And people was like, they're not together. And I said, what are you talking about? Said, no, man, them not together no more. People was like, what? Y'all are the couple's goals in here. Y'all not together. They said, I've never seen anything like this in my life. When I tell you, I love that man like the inside of my soul, okay? When I tell you he was funny, we just had the best love and relationship. I just loved him. When the man findeth the wife, he findeth the good thing and gets favor from the Lord. I just loved him. There was no match for this man. And I thank God for him. I talk to him every day. I would give anything to hear him pick up the phone and, you know, he had a import-export business of oil and perfume in Jamaica. He knew every perfume and cologne known to mankind. He knew them all in his head. And he would call me sometime and be like, Tanya, you have your computer? I want to order some oil. And I'd be like, oh, I'm busy. And he'd be like, Chaman, this is your boss talking to you. And I'd be like, that's funny, boss. I still ain't get my check. He said, you don't get it? Put that check in the mail, man. I put it in the mail, man. You have to check with the post office. And we had this running gag. And so help me God, I would say, okay, what you want me to order? And then I'll be like, now look, sucker, I'm busy. Don't call me back right now. I'm busy. I'll call you back later. And I'll hang up and then my phone will ring right back. And I'll be like, didn't I tell you don't call me back? He said, oh no, that was your boss. This your husband calling. What's up? And all I could do was laugh. Hilarious. All I could do was laugh. And then we just sit there and talk and all. I mean, he was my best friend. Okay, absolutely. It's getting late. It's getting late. You know, guys, I told y'all I'm a talker. I could talk forever. But I enjoy you guys. The Nerd Herd is super dope. Nighty night, Nancy. Sleep well. Say it again. You like to... There is a girl... Not girl, excuse me. A woman. She has a channel. I think her name is Noor, N-O-O-R. She did a full video and a reading of the autopsy. Check her page. Tell her Natanya sent you. She did a full reading of it. You'll probably have to look down her page because it was earlier. Was it earlier this year? Or it may have been... It might have been sometime last year, maybe November, or probably right before the whole Cassie thing. So check there. Aw. Thank you guys. I love y'all too. But absolutely. Check Noor, N-O-O-R. She usually wears like a tinfoil hat and stuff like that on her channel. Check her out. She did a full breakdown of the autopsy, and you'll hear like a lot of stuff. She did a lot of research too, so check her out. Make sure you tell her the dopest nerd sent you there. I love you guys. Love and light. Sleep well. Oh, you know who Noor is? Yeah, absolutely. Sleep well, guys. Sweet dreams. Astral projecting your dreams. And here's a good tidbit, especially for us women that are getting older. You need to get some compression socks. You need to elevate your feet above your heart. So stack a bunch of solid pillows at the foot of your bed and sleep with your legs elevated above your heart so that it can drain. And yes, you will go urinate a lot at night, but that's okay, because if you don't get that water out, you can drown your own heart. You can drown your body, too much fluid in your body. And so elevate your feet above your heart, let it drain down. You're gonna go to the bathroom quite a few times, but that's okay. Just get it out. You'll be better for it. Make sure your head is flat, like the flattest pillow you have, and enjoy. And also, doing this, putting your hands together. So if you, I don't know, some people toss and turn when they sleep, but if you have, Dollar Tree sells the compression socks. It's a 2-pack, so y'all should go there and get them. I'm talking good compression socks. But if you close your hand like this, the body is a circuit. So if you're able to sleep and close your hands, I don't care if you have to intertwine them like this or close them like this or however, once you put your hands together, it makes a circuit, and it's very healing and restorative to your body. If you're able to sleep like that, sleep like that. Even if you don't stay like that the whole night. But close the circuit and you are charging your body. You are making a complete circuit and you're charging your body. So that's one to grow on. You know your girl got all the tips. Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys are beautiful too. I love my sisters. I love my queens. Shout out to the Nerd Herd. We're going to have merch soon. So look out for that. And like I said, the book is going to be up very soon in a few days. It took me a little longer for formatting and stuff, but it's called A Shot in the Dark. It's a fiction book. Make sure you get your copy. It is a page turner, y'all. I put my heart and soul in this book. I wrote it last weekend, but I put my heart and soul in it. So definitely pick it up. Till we meet again, sleep well, asheo, and peace to every one of you guys. That's right. You'll feel the magnetic pull and you are charging your body. You don't know how much good job you're doing to your body. It's not on Amazon yet, but it will be. Absolutely. Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Asheo. Oh, I was turning off the wrong one.